I call it the firing line. I'm going to fire some names out. It's sort of like the personality test that is not a personality test. I'm going to give you some names. You tell me what you think of them, and if the funny story happens to tumble from your lips, then so be it. And the first
Gotcha.
one is Kevin Dunn.
Kevin Dunn. Yeah, he's a great producer, fantastic. Been with the company many, many years. Um, the only thing about Kevin is when he's outside that TV truck, he's always on his cell phone, and people used to question whether he was on his cell phone because he didn't want to talk to nobody and acting like he was on his cell phone. He always heard that for sure. But he's a busy man. He's Vince McMahon's right hand man in that business, and it's like it goes really like Vince and Kevin Dunn right there. So yeah, Kevin Dunn is God in the TV world and in the wrestling industry. That's for sure.
Right, here's a really random one. Bill
Yeah,
Dunn.
Bill Dunn.
Yeah.
He was a marketing guy. He used to do you're talking about Bill Dunn, the marketing guy. He used to announce sometimes.
Yes, yeah. He was on a WrestleMania 10 for a little bit. He was on a few shows
Yeah,
around 94, 95, then disappeared.
yeah, Bill Dunn. I just actually got questioned about him the other day on a podcast that had free shows. Yeah, he did all merchandise. He did merchandise like Jimmy Miranda used to do merchandise for the company and certain things. And Jimmy Miranda used to ring announce a few live events, TVs maybe back in the day. But Bill Dunn was a ring announcer too, but he did the merchandise stands and stuff in the arenas. And then just one day, Bill had went his own separate way with the company and just left the company.
Hmm.
Had no idea why.
No, he's just one of those names that just practically no one remembers. But I always remember him because that's when I started watching. The
Yeah,
next one, Lex Luger.
Lex Luger. Yeah, I mean, great guy. Feel bad for him in the situation and type he's in, but he used to phenomenal body, and he was an unbelievable guy and wrestler, and just feel bad he's going through some health problems right now and stuff. But he used to him and Sid. There's some big boys, man. There were some big boys, man. That's for sure.
Everyone's got an opinion on this next one, Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny. She was a wild one, mate. She was a wild one. God bless Chris, man. I mean, I used to feel bad for him, but yeah, I remember one time in Europe. She was a prima donna, yada yada yada, and she was a wild one around the locker room, that's for sure. But she was always a good girl to me. She was always very nice and stuff. But I remember she had we got on a tour bus and we used to get on the buses after a show, and he used to have meals and catering, which catering was fantastic in Europe. So we'd have boxes and it'd be listed like beef stew, this, that, that. They'd even have banoffee pie to go for us or something else. And they'd have chicken in this to go. So I remember she got beef stew with so many shit in that beef stew. And she started eating it up in the front of the bus, and all I hear her scream, like, ah. And I'm like, what the hell happened up there? And then the word trickled back, oh, somebody shit in her beef stew, man. And she was eating quite a bit of it, man.
Oh.
So, yeah, she had some heat back then.
Mm. You'd have to. Who was the depositor or the donor? Do you know?
I don't know. We still don't know to this day. Still don't know.
The next one.
It was
sorry.
one of. I would say it was one of the Kliq. That's for sure.
I've heard X-Pac.
I've heard a couple guys. Heard that too.
Paul Roma.
Man, miss him. God, I wonder what Paul's doing these days. Phenomenal guy, man. Real cool guy from the East Coast. I believe he was still from New York or the East Coast, and he was just Guido-looking guy, just a phenomenal body. And Paul Roma, yeah, it's a quick story here. I'll tell you. Paul Roma was working with Hercules. It was Power and Glory. We were actually in Birmingham, England. And I'm doing the first match, and they had the first match coming out. And I look over, and I'm a huge fan of Led Zeppelin. And I look over, and I'm like, holy shit, that looks like Robert Plant. So I'm like, yo, man, I'm like, that's fucking Robert Plant. So Paul comes in the ring, and Hercules, and they're like, oh, Chioda, stop smoking that hash, man, or because I remember it was in the 80s at some point was smoking a lot of hash in Europe. And I said, no, I'm not fucking kidding you, man. I'm like, he had a tie-dye shirt on, everything like that. Where is that picture frame at right now? I got it somewhere. And so we're sitting there, and next thing you know, I go to backstage after the match, and I keep looking at Robert Plant. He just goes like this to me, and he was with his little son, because his daughter had passed away, when she was young, at that time.
Yeah, that's why they broke up more or less, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. And next thing you know, intermission, I'm telling Hogan this, and I'm telling all the guys, yo, Robert Plant's here, man. Robert Plant's here. And they're like, oh, man, Chioda, shut up. You fuck are you on? You're too high. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, man, I'm a huge fan of Led Zeppelin. So next thing you know, man, who comes back and with a bunch of security dudes and his little boy was Robert Plant. And I remember Hogan, all the boys, Paul Roma, rushed him. Everybody was like rushing for a picture for this and talking to Robert Plant. And his little boys running around going, Daddy, Daddy. I'm like, yo, guys, this is his son, man. Pay attention to his son. And I got a good picture with Robert Plant, and everything. And God, where is that picture? It's somewhere around here, but I'd love to show it to you. It's an 8x10. But yeah, it was definitely phenomenal, man. Met Robert Plant in Birmingham, England.
Yeah, I went to go see him a couple of years ago, and do you know what? I was a bit gutted because I thought, oh, he's going to do a load of Led Zeppelin, and he sort of did a few Led Zeppelin songs, and then he mishmashed all the music up, so we didn't even know what. Apart from Ramble On, which was like the record, everything else was like Kashmir. You couldn't even work out what the song was. Bob Dylan does the same thing now. They just mix it up to amuse themselves, and everyone else is sat there going, what famous song is this?
Yeah, the last time I seen Plant was Pictures at 11 or something, man. It was some years ago, many years ago. So,
right. So, Giant Gonzalez.
Giant Gonzalez. He was actually big guy. Didn't stick around too long, And actually, I remember meeting Big Show at a nightclub in Philadelphia, and he was a bouncer in this club in Delaware River, off the Delaware River in Philadelphia. And I told Pat Patterson this, and I gave Pat Patterson, here's Paul White's number. You got to call him. He's giant. He's like Andre the Giant. He's huge. He's 7 foot, Pat, next thing you know, Big Show winds up on WCW. And I go up to Pat and I'm like, Pat, I said, did you not call this guy? He goes, what do you mean? He goes, that was the guy, the number you gave me? And I said, yeah. I said, this guy was a giant. I told you. He goes, I thought you meant Giant Gonzalez. We already signed it. And I was like, no, that's the guy. And I remember Vince went, what the fuck? And he slammed the door because they were watching it in their office and stuff. And I come walking by and see the show on WCW. And that's when I asked Pat right in front of Vince, and then Vince goes, excuse me, Mike. He slams the door. Pat, what the fuck? We had this guy. So, yeah, that's the story between Giant Gonzalez and me. Really.
So that reminds me of, so they signed the wrong Giant, and they also signed the one-legged wrestler once as well instead of Zach Gowen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, they signed the Giant, but that's who Pat thought I was talking about, because when I was referring to as a giant, 7 foot tall, Pat thought I ran into him. He didn't even know anything about Big Show.
I'll give you a few more then. Bruce Pritchard. Good
guy, man. Hell of a guy in business. Worked with Bruce for many years. Great mind for the business. And I used to love when he was Brother Love, man. I used to enjoy it, man. We used to do all the stage setting up for Brother Love back in the day. And I used to pop huge on that character. I love you. It's pretty damn cool, man. But Bruce Pritchard, great guy. Many years.
Heidenreich,
stiff worker. Not too much, a very stiff worker. That's how I remember him.
Michael Cole.
Great guy, man. One of the best commentators in professional wrestling. So he is the best, and he's training all the other guys, and he's still doing his thing, and known him for many years, and great relationship with Michael Cole's back then. And I wish him all the best, man, because he's a great guy and one of the best in the business, like JR and Michael Cole, King Lawler,
Insane Clown Posse.
I was quick gimmick that ran through the WWF at one time, you know. So it was a cool character. It painted their faces and all that stuff. So it was just they were in and out.
That was a total punt on my part. Nails.
Nails hitting Vince McMahon because he got a shitty payoff.
I'll give you a few more. Honky Tonk Man.
Great, man. Used to love his gimmick. You know, a lot of character. He used to come out in them suits all the time, the blue ones and the white ones, and that guitar. He was. I loved his entrance music, man. He was a hell of a worker, man. Took his character really serious too.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart did quite a few of those, didn't he? Quite a few of the classics.
Yeah, sure did. Sure did.
A couple more. Brian Clark, Adam Bomb.
Oh, Adam Bomb, man. Great dude. Miss him. Yeah, we traveled the road a lot over the years, man. Adam Bomb, and you know, he had a good thing going on, big boy, and he was a really cool guy. He was a cool dude.
And do you know what? I had one that I sort of don't want to ask really because it might not yield the best answer, like not the funniest answer. So I'll give you another one, and if this doesn't yield the answer, I'll answer the other one. Can you Seaman? Who is that guy?
Yeah, I don't really. It's just I've heard of him too, but he's just really don't much of him.
No, so. I like how all the things was Seaman released or Seaman fired. It's like, dude, change your name, dude.
Yeah, I can't really. I can't really. I don't know comment on that.